All right, this episode is called Skin in the Game, but how much skin does it show? Let's talk about Foundation Season 3, Episode 8. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass. I'm here to talk to you about Foundation Season 3, Episode 8, Skin in the Game, which comes to Apple TV Plus on August 29th, 2025. Eighth episode in the Foundation Season 3. It is a 10 episode arc, so we are getting close to the end of this season. Is this episode worth watching? Does this continue the really great trend of Season 3? Unfortunately, my hot take is I think you should watch later. It's an okay episode. It definitely has a lot of drama, but unfortunately, I thought that drama was a little bit laughable. It didn't really make me feel tense. It made me kind of laugh and chuckle actually. It does have some surprises and some setup, but that drama was not very good. There are some weird character turns, and there's a new threat that again is not super impressive. So I actually didn't really love this episode. It is also slow. So I have loved every episode so far. This one was just okay. I'm not gonna stop watching. If you've made it this far, you're gonna keep watching. But this was unfortunately a little bit of a dip in the overall high quality of season 3. So I'm gonna tell you a little about the episode. A few things I like, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into a recap. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the recap section. If you don't know what happens in this episode, I would turn it off when I get to the recap. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free. Let you know when I get to those spoilers. So in Foundation episode 8, continues right after what happened in Foundation episode 7, where we found out the Mule's origin story. He was a farmer, in Foundation, survived that using his mental powers, and now he just hates everything. And then he went to go talk to Harry Seldon, and we see what happens there, but also we see what's happened today down in the Mycogen sector. So, things I liked about this episode. The first, I did like the surprises. There were some surprises here. There were some big reveals that I thought were interesting. I'm not going to go into them here. I'm not going to spoil it here, but just there were some things that I was genuinely surprised about. Second thing I didn't love. Second thing I liked. I like the set. It feels like this is going to set up some really good episodes down the line. I mean, look, there's only two more left in season 3, so it better be setting up something good. But I think with the groundwork that's laid here, we'll have an interesting next two episodes. I don't think that Foundation story is going to be over though. It feels like there is not enough time to really go through everything. I feel like we're going to be left with a cliffhanger at the end of season 3. Just my personal thought. I haven't seen episode 9. I haven't seen episode 10. I don't know that anything for a fact, but that's just my general consensus here. So, all that being said, things I didn't love as much. The first, I didn't love the drama. Again, like I said, some of it was kind of laughable. I'm not going to go into it here. I'm going to go into the recap, but there were just it felt like they were pumping it on and it didn't really hit. The second thing I didn't love as much, character turns. There's some character turns here. I'll go into it in the recap again, but it feels convenient. It feels strange. It feels out of character. And look, maybe the mule is a new threat. It's causing some things to change, but it didn't really do it for me. The third thing I didn't love as much. I didn't love the new threat. I kind of went into it in the last episode recap. Still, not super impressive. I'll go into that in the recap. And the last thing I didn't love as much, it's somewhat slow. It's a pretty slow episode. Not a lot of action, not a lot of exciting things happen. A lot of exposition, which is fine in Foundation, but just didn't really kind of grab me like the other ones have. So all that being said, Foundation Episode 8 comes to Apple TV Plus on August 29th, 2025. Like I said, I think you should watch it later. It's a solid episode. It's an okay episode. Not great. But if you've gone this far, if you've been in it this long, you're going to keep watching. You're going to watch this anyways, but just know that this was a little bit of a dip in quality. So if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. I'm going to really quickly go into a recap right now. So if you don't know what happens in this episode, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So I'm going to go this recap, since we have kind of some main characters that are throughout the story. I'm going to go in a character order. So we'll start with the Mule, everyone's favorite mentalic crazy pirate. He has his meeting with Seldon. Seldon and him exchange barbs. It feels like the Mule is trying to get the upper hand, trying to intimidate Seldon. Seldon, though, seems to have the upper hand here. It's just weird considering that, like, a day ago, he didn't know about the mule. Like, that was a surprise. He's like, what's the mule? We don't know about the mule. Now he, like, has everything mapped out. Maybe that's just his mental powers at work here. So it was a little surprising that all of a sudden now he is, like, over the mule. He, like, knows what's up. Eventually, the mule wants to know about Gaal. Harry doesn't really say much. The mule's like, oh, you didn't know that she was alive. I think he does know that she's alive because he saw her. I believe. I think he did. Maybe. But in any event, eventually the mule gets a little bit too close to Harry's pyramid thing, and the null field hits him, and it almost kills the mule. He gets like thrown up in the air, like any sort of supernatural story where the person is possessed. He's like thrown up in the air and then shot out. He looks up at Seldon and he's surprised that he is alive. And I was like, dude, this is the mule. He's supposed to be this like super powerful mentalic psychopath. And now he's like almost getting killed by walking too close to the null field. And now he's like scared. He's like, you let me live. Why? And he looked really weak, which was a weird change for him. He's always been super confident. He's always been above it. I guess maybe this was the first time he's been scared, and maybe that's why, but it was weird to have him all of a sudden go from being like overly powerful to then weak. But he's like, oh, like you let me live. Why? And Seldon's like, because you have a secret and I think it might be useful. And then Seldon disappears. And again, Seldon just learned about the mule like 2 hours ago. All of a sudden now he has the upper hand and knows everything. All this felt weird. All this felt very different from when we last saw them interact when the mule started sacking New Terminus. So next we find out that this is a lot later, but again, I'm sticking with characters. So the next thing we find out is Day is alive. He's in the med bay on the mule ship with Beta. They both, apparently survived the attack on Terminus. Well, Day survived being ejected from the ship. Beta survived the attack on Terminus, but they are both in the med bay, and we find out that Day did get ejected from that ship and his suit kept him alive. And I was like, why did his nanobots not keep him alive? He has nanobots. It's not like they were like taken from him. He didn't give them up. He's had nanobots. And Demerzel earlier said that his nanobots stopped responding. So I don't know why his nanobots didn't kick in and save him. But apparently his suit did, and his suit did, saved him by sucking energy from his body. So it like took chunks of his leg to keep him alive, which is weird, strange, especially when he's got nanobots that are supposed to help fix him and repair him, but they apparently are gone for some reason. And so now he's alive, but in a lot of pain. The mule comes into the med bay and he wants to know about Gaal. He wants to know more about Gaal. So he tries to get info from Day, but Day doesn't know much. He didn't interact with Gaal that much. The mule starts to torture him, but then Beta tells him it's time to go, and the mule agrees. And so this was a very interesting scene because they really made it seem like Beta has mental powers. Like Beta has the kind of persuasive powers that Magnifico does. Maybe that's why they clicked so well, because they have similar mentalic powers. Maybe Beta, I mean, it seems like Beta has mentalic powers. We never really looked at it before, but it seems like she does, because she was able to influence the mule. Earlier, she was able to influence Randu when he was being a pain to Torrance. So it seems like Beta is going to be a key player in here. Maybe she's going to work through some of these alliances when she finally escapes. So that's the mule. Now we go back to Dusk. Dusk is in control of the Empire because Day and Dawn are both gone. He hears about Dawn. Oh, wait, did I say Day? I said Day the last part. Sorry. All that was Dawn. My bad. I'm sorry. No, Dusk hears that Dawn is dead from Demerzel, and he takes it badly. And he talks to Ambassador Quent about this, and you're like, wait, what? Like they are close, which I guess makes sense. They did just hook up, but then Dusk changed, left, killed a ferret, and like walked out, and poor Quent like woke up in this room alone with a dead ferret outside of her chambers. They never addressed it. I guess maybe, it's Empire. Maybe someone came and cleaned it up. Maybe she's just like, oh, Empire is so weird. There's a dead ferret. I don't know. They don't ever address it. But Dusk and Quent are close still, even though I thought that Dusk was gonna, push her aside. And they're talking about Day, and she is consoling him. But there is discontent brewing in Empire. There's a faction that wants to give Trantor to the Mule to pacify him. Both Dusk and Demerzel are against this, and so is Quent as well. They say he can't be pacified. But these people say it's not a request, and you're like, huh, maybe the Mule is working on that. Maybe everyone's just scared. You don't really know. But throughout this whole thing, Dusk is very emotional, which is weird. It felt out of place. It felt out of place for someone who is Empire, who has been kind of trained his entire life to be cool, be calm, be collected. All of a sudden now he's like raving, like, you can't give up Empire to save Empire. That will destroy us. Like, it's really weird to have him do this big change. Now, maybe this is because he is about to be, suicided. Maybe it's to show that his like mental capabilities are breaking down. And maybe that's something that they do with Cleons as they get older. But it did feel very weird. Dusk has isn't kind of raving all the time. It's just in this scene. So Demerzel then goes to do what she does. She create another Dawn because Dawn is now dead according to her. And Dust says no, it's gonna take too long. But guess what? I have this Death Star I've been building. And he talks about how Day sucked. So as soon as Day became Day and Dusk became Dusk, he started building this super weapon for Dawn. And it's he says that this will stop everything. They say it took 1 trillion man hours, which I looked that up. That's 25 billion 40-hour work weeks. That's a lot of people or a lot of time, and we don't have that much time. Or it is 6 billion full weeks. So 24 hours working, 6 billion weeks for one person to do that. A lot of time, a lot. I guess they had the time. I guess they had the people because they built this Death Star type weapon, and so he has it ready to, I guess, counteract the Mule. Now, Demerzel is still talking to that luminous lady that she brought, like a confessional, essentially. But Demerzel says that they have to stop, and does give a hint that at one point Demerzel went to the Maiden of the Zephyrs, who I guess the luminous worship over in like the Salt Kingdom. I think this was when Day went there too. Day, I think, from Foundation season one. Day went there on a pilgrimage to like open his mind. He did. I think something terrible happened. I think Demerzel did that to the Maiden or to one of the Zephyrs out there, and so she hints that she can't go back there. And then she tells this Luminous that she has one more essential sin to do against the Zephyrs, and this is going to be worse than the one she did before. And then she wipes the Luminous' memory. Kind of nice to have someone you can confess to, and then just be like, "Whoop, I didn't say it." Now, over to Gaal. Gaal returns to Foundation 2, and she tells the first voice that they have to evacuate because the mule is coming for her. They need to evacuate, they need to go somewhere, and they have to go somewhere that Gaal can't find them. She doesn't want to be, I guess, taken over and tell where Foundation 2 goes to, so she tells the first voice to go and evacuate. Then she goes and says she's going to go look for Pritchard and also go attack the mule first. She's going to take out the mule before he takes out her. And there is some random group of volunteers that decide to go with her. So it's not just Gaal, it's Gaal plus four random people that we've never seen before going to New Terminus to find Pritchard and then take on the mule. Great. It'd be nice to know who they were. We don't get that. Maybe they'll be kind of, emphasized in season 4. Now, over to Day. The episode kind of almost begins and ends with Day, so that's where I wanted to start this review. So, Day is with Machine Cult, and we found out that his name is Sunmaster 18. He looks kind of like a cosplay twink leader. He is putting Day on trial for, I guess, being there. I guess the heresy of being Empire of, I don't know, of whatever it is that Day's on trial for. And the trial is supposed to be like built up and scary, but it's not very scary because it's a little bit ridiculous. There's a lot of pageantry here. At some point, they do like an interpretive dance about their history, which I guess could have been interesting if there was some context for this, but it's just in the middle of the trial, I guess executioner slash judge tells the story of the machine cult people, and you're like, why? Like, just try Day for his crimes. Like, why are we going through this like interpretive dance of how the Empire did this and the robots rose up and then they were it was silly. It looked ridiculous. It turned what could be like a chilling scene into something that looked strange. Eventually, Sunmaster 18 activates his skull staff. He looks like a character from Masters of the Universe. It's a staff that has a golden robot skull on top of it, and it starts to hum. And when Day hears this hum, he realizes that it's something that Demerzel sang to them as kids. And you're like, okay, so Demerzel is singing this like secret robot song to the kids, I guess, as a lullaby, and the robots communicate via lullaby. I guess. I mean, they should have Wi-Fi. They are robots. They should be able to communicate over Wi-Fi or something. But no, they hum. And so the skull hums, Day hums back, and it kind of activates the staff. But Day also, during this thing, gives a speech about how bad he is and how horrible he was and how terrible Empire was, and how they enslaved the robot and bent to their will. It's a strange scene. I mean, I guess this is Day's natural character arc. He kind of like hates Empire, but it is strange for him to be like, oh, I did do bad things. I should be punished. Felt very weak for Day. Now, Day does try to tell people, he tells everyone here that Demerzel is a robot. She used to be named the whatever the robot god that these cult worships. I think it was like Denal or something like that. That was Demerzel. So Day reveals this to them. this secret knowledge that no one has known about. Now all of a sudden everyone knows about it. When he told Song, he was like, "You are the only person outside of the Cleons to know this." And now this entire coliseum of weird robot cult people now know this as well. Very strange. But that doesn't help him because eventually Day gets judged by Sun Master 18 and he has to be remediated, which basically means he's returned to the Earth. He's gonna like plunge into some pool. His body's gonna get dissolved. He's gonna get repurposed, I guess. But before this happens, Sun Master 18 tells him that he saw Songbird's memories and he, knows that Demerzel is a robot. And Day's like, well, tell the people, tell them. And he's like, no, it kind of helps me more if they don't know that. And then Day gets remediated. Well, he gets dropped into a pit. We don't see him get remediated, but he gets dropped into a black pit. So my guess is he's probably okay. But that is what happens in Foundation episode 8. Like I said, it's not great. It's an okay episode. It's fine. I'm sure it's going to set up some interesting stuff, but not the quality that I was expecting, given how good the start of the season was. So what questions and predictions do we have for this? Well, will we use it's called the Novecula, I just call it Death Star, to blow up something? I assume New Terminus. I assume they're going to use it against the Mule to try to take him out. He's going to be one step ahead. I assume they're going to blow up a planet. Maybe that will ignite people against Empire even more. But I feel like they're going to use it. They have this weapon. They can destroy a planet. They'll probably try to use it against the Mule. Does Beta have powers? It seems like she does. She was able to convince Randu, she was able to convince the Mule, and the null field does seem to affect Mentalics more than regular people, and Beta was hit really hard. Torn was able to survive it, and he carried Beta out. Beta was hit really hard by it, and so was the Mule. So I think Beta is a Mentalic. We will see what happens. It also seems like maybe she was trying to use some of her persuasive powers on Day. She has a history of being a social climber. Maybe she's gonna try to climb into Empire. I don't think so. I mean, she does seem to love Torn. They are married, but we will see. What will they do? Well, I mean, he's gonna maybe be remediated. I think he'll survive. I think he'll be okay. I think someone is gonna save him. Song, maybe. Maybe Demerzel. Maybe that like singing robot. Maybe the skull that he sung to will then use Wi-Fi to talk to Demerzel. I don't know. Because Demerzel did say at some point their consciousnesses were all one. So that would maybe imply that she can connect to this robot skull, but then why wouldn't she know about it? She didn't mention this robot skull before. If there was another robot around that was activated still, you would think that Demerzel would know of that, but maybe she will now learn where Day is because this robot skull got activated. You assume it was activated at some point before, maybe it never has, but that is probably what I think will happen. What will Gaal do? Gaal is on New Terminus and she is going to take out the Mule. How is she going to take out the Mule? I don't know. It's her and her ragtag group of three other Mentalics, four other Mentalics. We will see what they do. And what's with all these cults? Like, all these. It's like every Marvel. This is what I don't love about these new, like the robot cult, the Luminous, the Luminaires, whatever you want to call them. It's like every Marvel movie. You have this like super powerful entity, and then all of a sudden we find out that there's this new cult that's been living right under their noses and has a ton of power, just as much power. And you're like, wait, no, this is Black Panther and Wakanda. They are the strongest nation, and they've got ultimanium or vibranium, whatever it is. They have all the technology. They're super powerful. And no, now this like weird sea society pops up, and they're led by this guy with like fin feet, and like, oh, he's now super powerful too. You're like, how do you not know about this? Now we have Empire being taken out by the Mule, being taken out by Foundation, being taken out by these like weird cosplay robot cultists and these like Luminous that we've never almost heard of since before. It feels like they're all coming up here and they're all being like, we're powerful, and they're more powerful than them. Maybe they're just hitting Empire when it's down, but it feels strange that now all of a sudden all these cults are here and they all are like independently strong entities that have been, I guess, living under Empire, hiding from it's again strange. So I don't know what's going to happen next. I think they're going to try to take out the Mule with the Death Star. I think it's not going to work. I think that's going to turn people against Empire. And we'll see. Maybe Demerzel will rise up with the help of these weird robot cultists, and we'll have to see them all next season. We will see. But that is Foundation episode 8. Like I said, it was okay. I didn't love it as much. But if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.